longer bound, no more chains holding me. My soul is resting.
All right, this is a hard one for me to record, but you know what? I just felt like I needed to. I've actually made this video before, and I took it down. It was when I first got my channel started, because it was just real personal video, and I felt like people could use it against me if they wanted. Like, you know how people can be, and I decided it was my best choice just to take it down. So that's what I did. I'm just sitting here in my comfort spot upstairs in my she shed on my bed upstairs, and decided it was the perfect place to film this personal video. And the reason I decided to film this was actually because one of my subscribers, Lee, she mentioned how my first video actually saved her life. I don't know what exactly she was going through, and it really doesn't matter. But it left me with the impression, well, I need to redo that video, and I need to get it back up, because whether people use this against me or not, it doesn't matter. If I can help people, that's the main reason I started a channel. Started it to help victims, but I was a victim too. So I decided this was the best, just to start my channel out like this. This is the story of how I went to jail and then started making true crime videos and started a channel. I'll start at the beginning when I was about 7 years old. I might have been 6. I can't remember exactly. But my mother and dad used to work nights. And so when they were sleeping during the day, they would send me to my grandma and grandpa's house, who lived in the city. Well, I don't know if I'd call it a city, it's a town. And I actually lived in the country with my mom and dad. But I would go there, and, well, a country girl, innocent little country girl, I didn't know much about having neighbors and all this. And there was an old lady that my grandma was friends with next door. And she would often visit her, and I would go with her. And she'd give me treats. She'd give me cookies, and oh man, I love that. She'd bake cookies all the time, and it was so exciting to get these cookies. And anyway, one day when I went over there, the old lady wasn't there, but her grandson was. This is hard. This is why I'm so sensitive with kid cases, because I know how it is. Anyway, I went over there, and she wasn't there. And he said, come on in. I have some cookies in here too. I'll give you cookies, which I went on in. I wasn't scared. I was a country kid. I didn't know nothing about being scared. I'd never been taught about the birds and bees or anything. Just innocent, complete innocent. I go in, and, well, this man does things to me. And I was so scared. And I didn't understand what was going on. I really didn't know how to say no. I really didn't. I didn't know. Just an innocent girl that didn't understand what was happening to her. I knew that it didn't feel right, but I was kind of scared of him. I was kind of a shy little girl, and I just didn't know what to say or what to do with that moment. It forever affected my life, that moment. I don't know why. And it only happened once, because I never would go back. But I kept it inside. I never told anybody. I just kept carrying it with me. I told not a soul. I told my mom that it happened. Told her that he stuck his hand up my shirt, but I said I ran and nothing happened, which wasn't true. But I said that because I felt guilty. I felt like it was my fault that I didn't run, that I didn't say something. And that's how a little girl feels. They feel like this happened and that's their fault. And I understand that. It's very emotional for me. I'm sorry. I don't mean to get emotional. I thought I could make this without getting emotional, but apparently not. Anyway, years go by. And I'm blocking it out. I'm very good at blocking things out. So very good. And you wouldn't think one incident would affect me like that, but it really did. And I didn't know it. Because I was holding it inside, I did not know it. Years I mean, I was in my 30s. And it kept coming back into my head, and I actually started having dreams about it. Like, they were almost scary, even in my 30s. And I kept trying to block it, and I couldn't. I got to the point where I couldn't. So, I hurt my shoulder at one time, really bad. And a doctor gave me a prescription. I don't know if I can say that. Maybe I shouldn't have said that. Doctor gave me some prescription pills. Let's just say that. Probably can't say the drug name on here. And I started taking those drugs, and it seemed to numb things with me. Not only physically, but mentally. And I could sleep. I could finally sleep. Felt like the best sleep of my life. And so I just kept taking them, and I kept going back and getting more. And even when my shoulder felt better, I'd go back and get more. And I'd start having to take more and more to get what I got before. It just kept escalating and getting worse and worse. And one thing led into another, and I did something I shouldn't have done. It was illegal, and I should have never done it. And actually, I'm not going to discuss that part of it. That's kind of personal. But it was illegal, and I ended up in jail. Let's just say that. So, here I am in jail, and I'm like, what? How did my life get to this point? Here I am withdrawn from some of the strongest pain medication you can use, in high doses of it. I'm sicker than a dog. I'm in jail with 3 other women in the same jail cell, and they gave me a mat to sleep in the floor because the jail was so full. And so I got my mat. You have to wear those orange degrading jumpsuits, you know. I got my mat, and the only place I could even put it was my head was right by the toilet. Talk about degrading. That's degrading. Think I got to this point. And here I have grown children at home. Well, they were teenagers. And I was like, what kind of mother? Sorry. What kind of mother am I? How did I do this? How did I end up like this? And I lay down on that mat that night. And of course, they don't ever turn out the lights at jail. But one of the other women in the jail handed me a toilet paper roll. And she handed me the Bible. And she said, here, you can lay your head on one of these. So I laid my head on that toilet paper roll. And I decided I'd pick up the Bible and I'd just read it because, boy, did I need it at the moment. And when I opened that Bible up, you won't believe it, but Paul and Silas, when they were in jail, popped open in that Bible. That's the first story I came to. And Paul and Silas, I don't know if you're familiar with the story, but they were locked up basically for doing things for God, not the way I was locked up. But they're in this jail cell, and they just start praising God through, no matter what they were going through, they just started praising God. And God came down in that jail cell, and he shook the whole place. And he set them free. Their chains fell off. They were set free. And at that moment, I realized God said, I can set you free. Not only from this jail, but I can set you free from these drugs. You will lay them down. In Jesus' name, you will lay them down at my feet. You will lay your past down at my feet and let it go. Suddenly, all my chains dropped off in that moment. I felt so free, like a bird that just, here I am locked up in this jail cell, but I felt so free, like a bird that could just fly away out of there. Oh, wow. I mean, do all this. It was that moment I knew my life would change forever. And I knew I would never pick up a single drug again in my life. Even going through withdrawals, I knew I didn't want another part of it. So after I got out of jail, I apologized to my kids. I said, I'm going to be a better mother. I'm going to be a better person. I'm going to be the mother you deserve. Guess what? I did not pick up and have it to this day. Taking another pill. I rarely even take Tylenol, guys. It's been almost 7 years. Drug-free. 7 years. And I'm going to tell you, it's all because of God. God was so good. And finally my willpower to say, no more. That's it. I'm laying it at your feet. It's got to stop. And it can only stop with me. Also, what helped, though, was I got some counseling for the first time in my life. I was sent to counseling through the jail program I did. And I was able to discuss what had happened to me those many years ago and open up about that and figure out why it hurt me so much. My heart began to heal. I began finally to open up to my husband and open up to my kids about what happened and open up to a lot of people that have been through the same thing, been through the exact same thing, but yet I was so embarrassed to tell anybody. You know how many people that's been through this exact same thing, they're embarrassed to discuss it? That's why it needs to be told. This subscriber that said that really touched me, and I felt like I needed to tell this story again and not take it off of YouTube this time. It's a part of my channel. It's a part of my story. It's a part of being a victim and how I can help victims. That's why I started this channel. Exactly. I want to touch and help victims and people out there. I want to bring a blessing up onto their life. I did not mean to do all this. I'm sorry, guys. I did not mean to do all this. But it happens, and that's why I'm in my comfortable spot, because I knew I was going to end up crying. I knew it was going to come eventually. But I just wanted to get my story out there in case I can help anybody else. If this can touch just one person like it did my subscriber Lee, thank you for telling me how much it touched you. And if it can just touch another person, that's all that matters. I don't care what anybody says, what happens. I just want to be there for someone. And guys, I'm always have your back, no matter what. I love y'all, and I thank you for supporting my channel. That's what it's all about, is the victims and the families and the loved ones that go through this kind of stuff. That's some deep stuff. Usually I make y'all laugh, and this time I probably made y'all cry. I'm sorry about that. It is what it is. I try to keep it all positive, but sometimes I have to tell the truth. The past, the history, to move forward. We all got to do that. It's part of moving forward, is to tell people about the past and how we've changed and how we can change and how we want to change. And I hope you guys, if you do need a change in your life, you admit that you do. That's the first step, is just admitting. All right, I love y'all, and I hope y'all have a blessed Christmas. I didn't mean to make y'all cry right before Christmas. I love y'all. Bye.